service that I'm going to go over is our domain monitoring service. So a little bit of background. I built a threat intelligence company a decade ago, and one of the first services we ever innovated was domain monitoring, basically, where you give us your corporate domain, your email domain, and we'll monitor for all the data that hackers are sharing about that domain. So it's the original or the OG like threat intel service. It's a very old way of looking at the world, but it's what most people think of when they think of threat intelligence. So we have watch list. So we call this first party, right? So first party is this is me. We have a watch list. We can have any domains we want in the watch list. And then we have our timeline. So I could be monitoring hundreds of domains. I could look at all of them at the same time, or we can just look at one. And with our domain monitoring, we are going through 26 to 27 billion records. And we first off give a full historical, right? So if you use our domain monitoring service, you're going to see every record for your domain going back to the beginning of time. So that's an initial value that a lot of our clients get is, the full historical report for their entire domain. And then we also have, of course, ongoing monitoring and alerting. I received an alert on July 18th that I had a new item from my example.org, a new alert from my example.org domain. And so you're going to receive alerts when these happen. And then we give you the full exposed information. So this looks like first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip code, phone number, and then an email address, right? And we've actually been seeing a lot of these being passed around recently. Hackers have been sharing Sprint, right? And then some numbers related to the account. So this is all from a file called USL DB 2019 CSV. So we give the full record, right? We're not redacting any information. We're not trying to fit this information into concrete boxes. We show you everything, even if we can't programmatically tag it. We do tag what we can. So we know this is some sort of identifier, email address, zip code. And then we say what file it came from, when did we first see it, and then where in the file did we find it? So complete traceability. We do tag exposed information. What could hackers do with that? And then security recovery steps. Now, one thing that we're not noting here is we know that this is all about cell phones. Big problem with cell phones is SIM swapping. And that's most likely what's going to happen with a lot of this data is people trying to break into companies. They find employees, they swap the SIM, and then they can bypass all the multi-factor. So if I know your cell phone number, your cell phone provider, your personal name and address, I can call your phone company and say, hey, this is Divya. I
need a new SIM.
Yeah, I just got a new phone, and so I need you to move me over to this new SIM. They're like, oh yeah, sure. And they ask you a few questions and you answer the questions, and then you give them the new SIM. They're like, great, you're switched, right? Basic customer support, except for hackers do this all day to bypass multi-factor. So we've got a lot of these recently, right? If we keep scrolling, we've got, hey, here's a lot of things. Actually, I think it has beginning contract dates or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So that's even scarier. Moniker online services. Then we scroll down a bit more. We've got some passwords, right? So we have all this available as alerts as our UI, but we also have a lot of API endpoints that our clients can use as well. We have a credential spraying endpoint where they can say, hey, do you have an email and password for me? Oh, you do? Well, let me try that, see if it's a problem. So emails, passwords, phone numbers, SIMs, IP addresses, really anything. So the way this service works is we look at every record in our system and we say, does this record have at least one email address for this domain, right? So you're never going to get anything in this that doesn't contain at least one email address from your domain. So it's all going to be relevant to you. And then once we see there's at least one email address, we always pass it along, right? So we've got all that. We can download reports. We can download all of this into a CSV. We can download the last 30 days. We can go and scroll. We can go backwards in time. We have alerts going all the way back to March of 2018 for this domain. So domain monitoring, very straightforward, allows you to find anything and everything for a domain. So what question